So, if you believe in God or the universe or karma or whatever, why would we deserve um, parents who are not as sufficient, let's say, or parents who didn't love us the way we truly deserve to be loved? The thing is, we can't grow without struggle, we can't grow without pain. We can't even be born without pain if you think about it. It's a near death experience. It's kind of strange because we're like it's a near death experience, but then it's a new life that's coming out. So it's one of the mysterious laws of the universe, it seems. But the reverse law of reverse effect. I know not everybody's a nerd like me and watches anime, but there's this character, Gojo, who's like getting killed, and he basically came back to life by doing a reverse curse technique. That's what they call it. And I found it so fascinating. That's why I love anime. It's because they always have spiritual undertones with it. And basically, something that's negative can be turned into something positive. So I'm not saying that we need to suffer at all times, but if we have this fate that we have parents who are a certain way, I truly believe, and even if I'm wrong, it's kind of the only thing we can do is to grow from it. And there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn with this type of pain. As you can see from the title, my claim is that we are all slaves to the relationship we have with our parents. And I know this is nothing new, but you know what's very interesting? All of the bad relationships I had with men, and what I notice about all of these male podcasters is that they always have a bad relationship with their mothers. Always. And, of course, not everybody is going to be honest about that and going to tell us, but it's quite evident. It seems to me that, from my own experience, men who have issues with women always have a bad relationship with their mothers. And I know what I'm talking about because I didn't have a great relationship with my dad and I had issues because of it. But that's it. That's the point. My point is that we need to really look at that. We need to really accept it. Sometimes, most of the time, we just brush over things, and that's what is different about my channel, is that I like to go deep, into issues, because that's the only way how to resolve it. Like, why do you think therapy works? But at the same time, with therapy, you can just kind of keep talking and talking and talking, and that's more like venting. A lot of times, it's more like venting. A lot of people are a bit disappointed with therapy after a while because they feel like it's just about getting medication, or it's just about somebody listening to you for a lot of money. And that's not the point. The point is to go deep. But I never understood why so many men, because you know why I'm saying men? Because men have more struggle to talk about their emotions. And I would argue they also have more trouble understanding their own emotions. Because when you understand something, you can explain it clearly. When you can explain something in a very simple way, it means you really understand it. So, why do so many men not understand the connection between the relationship with their mothers and how they treat women? I would say the most important thing to realize is when we make broad statements about a big group, any type of group, it's a problem, right? If we do this with cultures or people of a certain look or whatever, or phenotype or, whatever, we call it racism. When we do this with one gender, it's sexism. So what is the issue is that a lot of people have justifications for their behavior. They don't deal with their issues, they act very unconsciously, and then they choose bad partners, and then they want to blame, obviously, the person, which is true. Like, I've been in bad relationships before. I'm not saying like, oh, let's victim shame. No. But at some point, we need to understand that the person we chose or the person we stay with, that's the issue most of the time. Because a lot of people, people really like to victim blame with these things. But most of the time, these manipulative, narcissistic partners, toxic partners, they don't show their toxic side right away. But when they start showing it more and more, the issue with people who have childhood trauma and bad relationships with their parents is that we accept these things. We think we're not good enough. We think we're not going to find anyone better. We think the intensity means something because it's familiar to us. So because our parents were toxic, for example, we think, and think about it. Our parents, even if they didn't really love us like we're supposed to be loved, is still the blueprint for love. Because before our brains are even there, before our brains are even knowing how we are, who we are, before we even know who we are, we learn that our parents are caring for us, are loving us. And if they're toxic, we think, this is what love is. Subconsciously. It's not a conscious thing. It's not a logical thing. But that's just what happens. So then fast forward, we rationalize things. We learn to suppress our emotions. Our emotions don't come out the right way. Or any of these issues, and then we tell ourselves, this person is super jealous and possessive. That means they really care about us. And it is really hard not to think that way. I know it from experience. And I know other people who have the same issue. And that's because their upbringing was toxic. So whenever we feel resentment towards a big group of people or even humans themselves, I definitely have some dislike towards the general public sometimes, and it's because, for example, because I was not treated well by the general public. Like, maybe it was a few instances, maybe it was a few situations, but it just all added up to a big picture type of issue. Because I grew up somewhere where they didn't accept ethnically ambiguous people. So that's why I don't like humans. And obviously, if you have, if you're more conscious of people, you see the bad things. Like, you see the good things. It has a lot of positive with it, but it also has a lot of negativity with it. Like, you see people for who they really are sometimes. And I'm not saying like, it's good to be pessimistic and you're enlightened when you're pessimistic. But, when you feel like you can really see through people and you just see all of the flaws. And there's positive as well, but we're just wired by nature to be more wary of negativity because it's a protective mechanism. So anyways, I'm really disappointed, actually. I don't know why. I think I don't want to be a person who's ranting, but at the same time, we need to bring these things to the surface. We need to bring these things to the surface. And my solution is that we should be a bit more brave with looking inside, looking at ourselves properly. It's the only way I was able to break out of this narrative that, everything is effed up and I guess I'm just gonna accept this intense yet toxic thing, it's hard when we feel longing and a deep void within us. And that's why I'm also talking about spiritual stuff on my channel, because we need more, and there is more. It's not enough to just try to buy new things, or to just focus on the way we look, or to just try to be in a relationship. You know, all of these things, the idea sounds good, and there's a point where we have to like take care of ourselves, obviously, and live a little, you know, but at the same time, it's not enough to just live in the physical world, because there's more than the physical. Like, thoughts are not physical, but thoughts guide us, right? Like, thoughts are what's responsible for what we do. So yeah, on one hand, I'm really far down the rabbit hole with spirituality, with God, and all of these things. And I don't think everybody needs to do that. But what I'm here for is to bring these bits of wisdom to you and to link it with reality. I was very hesitant to even start a channel. You know, my brain races, so I'm thinking like many different things at once almost. I don't have ADHD, but it's just like the way my brain is. And it makes me see things. Like I just always saw things. I always saw more things than other people do, most people. But I was like, how, you know, why me? Like, why should I be the one who brings things out? Like, I'm not the type of person who does these essays and all of these things. But then I really felt guided by God, you know. And every time I give in and I submit to my fate, good things happen, you know. And I'm talking in a deep way, not just like some lucky thing happens to me. But anyways, that's besides the point. My purpose is to show people what I see. And I'm not the only one who sees these things, but I guess some people appreciate that I don't do this like curated script thing, you know, with all of the editing and all of these things, because I had several comments telling me like, oh, I like that you're just being real and no fancy editing and nothing. And I know it's not perfect, but I want to improve, but also I need people to support this, you know. So if people don't care, then the evil will win. You know, I'm sorry if that sounds like whatever, I don't really care. It is what it is. Spiritual warfare is real, and that's it. Like, you can say even just now we're so developed in society that we're able to focus on the psychology in a very deep way, and that's good. Like, that's evolution, you know. We should support that. So yeah, if you support this message, then like and subscribe if you care, and leave a comment with any of your thoughts. I will be there. And yeah, thanks for listening. See you soon.